All right, I'm live again. Come on back, everybody. All right. So I was talking about, this is Coach Talk Q&A number 9. And, yes. Oh, so this is, you're missing my story that I had today. Maybe I'll tell it again just for fun. So I'm in Saratoga today. My son's doing something called OVA, Olympics of the Visual Arts. VA. Yes, okay, that's right. And so I was at the Saratoga Public Library, and there's nobody in there, and there's a table, way down. I go, okay, that's where I'm going to set up shop to do my work today, and it's a table for about 6. Well, in comes the first person about 15 minutes later, and she walks by all the tables, and she, by the way, she's covered in, she's got a rain poncho and rain gear on and everything. I don't know if you can tell, it's raining out here. And she walks by all the tables, pulls out the chair right next to me and says, is anybody sitting here? Somebody posted in Facebook, yeah, a little personal space. So anyway, I ended up excusing myself and did my work this morning, and here I am for our Q&A. So let's hit these questions that I got. I got a couple ones. One is a quicker one. The second one is a little bit more time consuming, so I wanted to start with the easy one first. How do I get storytellers to bottom line? And it gets uncomfortable. How do you stop it from being uncomfortable? Well, having done this just a minute ago, I'm going to redo this in a little more of the bottom line fashion. But the essence is, have a conscious conversation with your clients. Coaching is not always going to be comfortable, and some of this stuff you just got to work on out on your own, coach. But if you design consciously with your client, exactly, how coaching is going to go, and what do we do in situations where it doesn't unfold the way we thought, and how do you want me to be with you when I hear you lying to yourself, and how do you want me to, when I hear your storytelling, I need you to know that I'm going to ask you to bottom line or give me the essence of what you want to express. If you design it clearly and there's a clear agreement, right, it makes it so much easier. Now, I can't do anything for you. I got to close the door here. I can't do anything for you in terms of if you have that conversation and you won't exercise the prerogative you've been granted by your client. In them saying, yeah, go ahead and intrude on me. And why do you intrude on your clients anyway? Well, one is because think about you and your own story and your own crap. You tell the same story again and again and again, and you know it. You don't need to hear it again. And I just got a big raindrop in my head. And your coach doesn't need to hear it. What they really need to hear is what's the essence of what you need me to know here, so then we can work with that and work with your actual agenda. Okay? If the person who asked is on the line, go ahead and ask another question if you want to follow up if I haven't answered it thoroughly enough. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the second question, which is a big, meaty one. Now I'm going to get inside the truck here. It's raining quite a bit, and I got my computer in here where there's a lot of words, and I'm going to share what was said. Hold on, getting in the truck. Okay. So the coach acknowledges that it actually might be their challenge, and that's cool. I'm just going to do it in here and not get rained on. How's that sound? Okay, so the essence is the client wants to know what the root cause is of prolonging movement on my goal. How do I get movement? Is it analysis paralysis, or that I don't really want it, or is it that I'm not clear? How do I get motivated? Now, here's a challenge, everybody, is when, actually I'm going to read this a bit more. Hang in there with me just a bit more. The client expresses they do want to make change, that they're feeling dissatisfaction in their circumstances, in their lives, and that they want to be able to create with specific action or deep, meaningful work and create change. Now, here's the pain in the butt is people say all sorts of things, that they want this and they want that, and they may do the homework, they might not do the homework, and at the end of the day, you can redesign, you can articulate, say what you see, call them out on it again and again. But if people aren't moving, and you don't have to say this in a tough guy way, you can, right? There's 1,000 ways you got to do it that's authentic to you and what's required in the moment. But what you need to do is take it away. Fine. You're talking about you want, I'm going to make this up, but you want to live your purpose, or you want to think about having this new profession, this new job. You want to get out of this one because you don't feel appreciated or whatever. And if weeks go by and we're just, I was going to say dawdling. Oh my gosh, what's this, 1978 and Mrs. Jones is babysitting me? Dawdling. If your clients are dawdling, and Mrs. Jones would have put you in the corner for it, and you're not handling your stuff, you just take it away. Right? You just you just call them. You don't want this. Obviously, this is not something you really want. Now, look, there's two things going on with that. One is it could purely be a technique, by the way, from the coach to, because once you take something away, suddenly people go, well, hold on a second. And also they may say, you know what, over time, I don't want this. And I see that I've just created a lot of chaos for myself. It's really kind of cool. So, hey, you know what? What I would say is, excuse me, I'm doing two things at once. What I would probably say to somebody is, hey, you know what? You're not working on this. You don't want this. And it's okay. You don't want it right now. So let's just find a way to be comfortable with what you've got. And like I said, oftentimes they'll say, well, no, I don't want that. Oh, well, what do you want? I want to get out of this job. I want a job that has meaning. Great. By when? Right? So I'm going to take that pissiness and that friskiness, because if they're getting pissed off at me, I'm going to run with it. Right? Use that. Because they're not really pissed at me. They're pissed at the situation. They're pissed at that they don't have their moment, their movement, their growth. And so I'll take that pissiness all day long. It's resonance. It's aliveness. Right? By when? Well, by the end of the summer. Well, what's end of the summer? You keep meeting them. End of August. By September, when my kids go to school, I must be in a position that's better. Fantastic. So then that becomes our standard, Sheila, if that's her name. Sheila, that becomes our standard. That's what we're doing. And then you shut up. You let silence hit. Okay. And now the other thing is Sheila's going to have to do some stuff. And the coach indicated in her email to me that, they've tried this and they've tried that, and sometimes hasn't been doing the homework. But after a conversation like this, a really rigorous conversation where you call them out and they stand up, you've got to leverage that immediately with action. Great. What will you do? What can you do? And if you have experience with this person and things that they can do, like they needed to make a phone call, something simple that they could do right now, this is a great, Richard, I'm going to get to that question. I see you wrote something. This is a great opportunity to get them to do it now. Do it now. I love do it now. So I would say, let me see. She wants a new job. She's been wanting to contact a headhunter, but hasn't called somebody. So I would say, all right, I'm hanging up in 7 seconds. You're going to call the headhunter right now. Call me back, and don't call me back until you've called the headhunter. Goodbye. Click. And I've done this a handful of times before. It's not your standby that you do it all the time, but when you do that, they immediately take action. First of all, they get pissed off at you. I've probably done it 4 times, 5 times. First, they always come back and they call and they say, well, at first I was really pissed that you would hang up at me or on me. And then they say something like, but then I called and now I realize, and see, somebody called me. You create momentum in the moment. Okay. And in that moment, I just got sidetracked. Yeah, in that moment, now they've done something. They've seen how easy it was to overcome procrastination. And then you might say, okay, great. You've done that. Now what's next? Then they'll say 2 or 3 things. Okay, great. All right, let's keep coaching on this. Let's keep talking. But now, as soon as we get off the phone, you need to do X. And then by, what is today? Thursday? By Thursday at 5, will you do 1, 2, 3? Okay, yes. And so you want to create action now. That's where momentum comes. The more time they have to think and analyze and play with it and wonder if it's analysis paralysis. And the other thing that this client said is to the coach that asked was, what was the question? Is this, there was a why. Hold on, I got to get the piece of paper. What's the root cause of my prolonging movement? Oh my gosh. Call your clients out on that crap. What's the root cause? My gosh, you'll spend your whole life worrying about root cause and why versus actually doing it. Okay? I hope that makes sense, everybody. Richard, you asked a question. Where is the client? Assess and work client on. If I don't like job, maybe they need to think through rather than immediately move into action. Yeah, absolutely. The context, Richard, that I was given in this question, I think, let me see if I'm asking your question right. Yeah, it sounds like from the question that was asked is that Richard asked, what if the client doesn't necessarily, what if they need to think through this rather than just move on? Absolutely. Just because a client says, and this shows up in relationships all the time, I don't know if I love my husband anymore. Well, that doesn't mean we're getting a divorce. I don't know if I like my job. This is really pissing me off. I don't like the way I'm treated at work. Yeah, you just don't leave. I mean, that's craziness. You made a commitment, and it's a big deal. Even if it's not a marriage, your job, you've got to be thoughtful and deliberate. I'm going to move the camera here a little bit. You got to be thoughtful and deliberate about how you engage these big life decisions, Richard. You're absolutely right. So, yeah, the first thing I would say if a client comes to me with a big thing like that, I'd say, hold on. What's going on? Tell the story, right? This is where you might not quite give the bottom line. Let them give a little bit of airtime to their fears and their upsets and their pissiness. Because it could be a perspective shift. It could be a reframe. It could be something that, look, they're just exhausted and they need to just have a conversation and know that they're appreciated. Or they want their creativity to have an outlet they haven't had at work. And they just need to have a good conversation with whomever to make sure they can express themselves and be fully authentic as much as possible at work. So you're right on, Richard. Yeah, and then of course in the cases where it's big stuff and they need to make changes, which this could be big changes to have these types of conversations. Yeah, you need to get them into action rather than get talking about it and trying to understand it. So, all right. Any other questions before we call it a talk for the day? All right. See y'all next Thursday at 11:30. Oh, by the way, go check out my YouTube channel. There's 9 of these now, Coach Talks. I've got a few other videos up there. One about personal standards, one about living the standards of uncompromised, and another one about how to use my journal that I use as a companion to my book. What was I going to say? Oh, go check out the new website as well, ronrenaud.com. There's some cool stuff up there, and some free stuff, some poetry, a whole bunch of cool stuff, okay? All right. See y'all next week, everybody.